The history of Alexander the Great started in 334 BCE. His conquest indefinitely a very inspiring, and most certainly a very badass one. However, there seems to be a lot of missing pieces on his invasion of the Indian subcontinent. For there to be an opinion or understanding to be made on war or battle between two cultures, countries, religions, castes or tribes, there needs to be sources from both sides that are supporting this specific event in history. World War II and I are well known because everyone has records of it. However, the story of Alexander the Great's invasion into India only follows a narrative made by Greek historians, which were later pushed on by the Western colonizers, making Alexander a great symbol of courage for Europe. Alright people, before the video starts, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and also of course watch the video till the end, or you're going to miss out on the crucial information. Taxila, Alexander and Porus. There is a narrative that has been pushed to the world by Western historians which states that Alexander's invasion of India did in fact occur. However, there is no such archaeological evidence, surveys or written records to support this Greek-based narrative. University which has been seen as the oldest and most profound is the Heidelberg University, built in the late 14th century. However, the existence of Taxila has been ignored, with a date as far back as 5th century BCE in present-day Pakistan. This university holds records of multiple major historical events that have happened across the Indian subcontinent and other parts of the world. Multiple Indian scholars and foreigners would come to Taxila for education. But the question is, why is there no text or written record to support the invasion of Alexander the Great if it was to be considered a major historical event? In fact, the war between Alexander and Porus was in fact on the banks of the river Jhelum, close to where the Taxila University currently is. No wonder why this wasn't recorded. It could have been that the scholars of Taxila didn't find Alexander's battle against Porus very impressive. The Battle of Hydaspes. The Battle of Hydaspes is a very controversial topic in the conquest of Alexander into India, with many missing pieces and different stories from the Greek historians and modern-day Indian historians. This battle was between Porus and Alexander. Porus was said to be a very fierce king who ruled from the river Jhelum to the Chenab River, which is currently in the hands of Pakistan. Most likely because Porus was a chieftain that was recorded by the Greeks as an emperor, whilst also giving Porus the title of Porus the Great to show that Alexander defeating Porus was a big deal. The other story that was written is that Porus had defeated Alexander with his big elephants and many other weaponry he held in his arsenal. What can be confirmed from this is that during this battle, Porus killed Alexander's beloved horse. The killing of Alexander's horse proves that this battle actually did take place. However, there is very little probability that Alexander would have been able to confront the war elephant and win, especially if the one who was in charge was the great King Porus. Once again, many missing pieces are made to believe that Alexander had in fact invaded India and took control. A thoughtless Greek narrative. A thoughtless narrative from the Greek historians of Alexander's return was that his soldiers had rebelled against Alexander to return back home because they were away for so long. The return of Alexander seems very suspicious to us. Why would a king like Alexander return back to his home just because his soldiers rebelled against him? In fact, his care for others was so low that he once killed one of his commanders during a drunk battle. If his self-control was so low that he wouldn't even resist and hesitate to kill someone, why wouldn't he have decided to punish each and every one of his soldiers who rebelled against him, as his goal of conquering the world was so much more important? One of Alexander's main goals was to conquer and loot India, as well as gain as much information as possible from these vast Indian kingdoms. It was also said that he found out about some Indian sages that had immortality, and Alexander himself wanted to gain this power. If he had such a large goal, why wouldn't he have just stayed and tried to achieve this? There are too many missing points which have to be uncovered. However, With many limitations of Western historians placing anti-Indian propaganda and biased views towards Indian history, it has become a lot harder for new and reliable sources to reach out to everyone. Seleucus Nikedu. Another interesting fact about Alexander and his invasion that is being pushed on by Greek and Western historians is that once he left back home, he died of some sort of disease that he had caught over the years. After Alexander's death, his military general Seleucus Nikedu was sent on a conquest to conquer India. However, the Maurya Empire had stopped this terrible event from occurring. Both Chandragupta Maurya and Seleucus came to an agreement on a treaty. According to this treaty, Seleucus had to give eastern Afghanistan, Baluchistan, and areas of West Indus to Chandragupta in marriage. In return, Seleucus received 500 war elephants. This treaty, it is all recorded all across India, Taxila, and even Greece. However, the Battle of Alexander and his invasion of India is not. Is it because of some missing records or something else? Is it because Alexander never invaded India and history has just twisted the plot to sound like Alexander invaded India? This brings me and my team to the final point that Alexander most likely had no chance of invading ancient India. The Greek narrative and Western-driven assumption of Alexander invading India has been stated with little to no evidence. While writing of an event such as war, many archaeological evidences and true written records without any twists to favouring one side need to be used. Without this, there will be many missing pieces in this event. Currently, we believe that Alexander's invasion of India was most certainly a hoax, and he definitely did not get past the doorsteps of the mighty India. We can conclude that Alexander had a failed invasion, which is the most probable prediction, due to a lack of archaeological evidence, written text from all sides, and no ruins into India, which was caused by Alexander. However, if the so-called Alexander the Great did defeat Porus and tried to enter India, did the great and mighty Vikramaditya stop him?